why we're in this field. That's why we do this work. And that's why we need your support. So I want to share a few things about what it is that we're going to do this year. But before I do just a little bit, I know there are some new parents in the room. There are probably some parents that are new to special education or ESE and support services. Some things you just need to know about the district. There's more than 270,000 students in Broward County Public Schools. There's approximately 35,000 students who've been identified as ESE or have 504. 4,000 of those do have 504. 90% of our 12,000 teachers, 90% of our 12,000 teachers have at least one student that has been identified as ESE or 504 in their classroom. That means, or on their roster. And so when we speak of inclusion, we are commended in this district, and if you check any of the data, you'll see that we perform very highly. We value inclusion, and that we outperform other divisions in the district, in the state of Florida, at 81% of our kids being included, and it's steadily increasing over the years. When we say that, that lets you know that all of our students belong to all of us. Now, something that I've had to learn from years, they talked a little bit about their history. I've been in ESE for about 21 years. Served in many roles, from teacher assistant to director to support to principal of a regional alternative program that serves students with disabilities from 5 regions. And that gave me the opportunity all at once to deal with 5 different districts, which was a challenge, yet I'm still here. I've been bit, kicked, spit on. I even took a gun from a child on one Monday morning who claimed when he came walking into the building that he had a pin or a plate put in his foot over the weekend. That was my first sign. I think that also contributed to my promotion to principal. But in saying that, I'm still here and I still value that. This is the 6th largest district in the world, and what I've learned, not only is ESE and support services just dealing with the 35,000, because we do evaluation, we do counseling, we work with, at times with grief. We help with MTSS, though we're not responsible for MTSS and RTI, but we work collaboratively with those programs. We work with the principals. We work with transportation. We assist with nursing. So all of our students belong to all of us, but our focus for this particular group of ESE and support services is going to be on our 35,000 ESE students. But just understand that we are responsible for working throughout Broward County. Now, with the 6th largest district in the country, that means that we have one of the 6th largest population of students with disabilities in the country, which poses its own concerns and issues and positives. We are graded somewhat on a number of different things, but some of the things that we are graded on that you can look, that's published, is the LEA profile. The LEA profile is what the state pretty much grades our performance in ESE on, and it's based on a set of indicators, approximately like 20 indicators plus some other ones. Some are dealing with compliance, some with academics, and the services that we provide. I'm not going to go over all that data with you. I'll just highlight a few things and recognize that, hey, we're not going to sugarcoat and highlight and say that we're doing an awesome job across all the indicators, but we do have some successes that we need to celebrate because these are your children, and we want to work with you to increase that. So this is the foundation for how we're going to perform the rest of the year, what drives this. Also, not only do we have the LEA profile that we're responsible for, that we're graded on, we've also conducted the BPI. How many of you heard of the BPI? I use that acronym, but it's the Best Practices for Inclusive Education. It's an assessment that tells how it's the perception, it's the belief in how well we're doing with inclusion across the district. There's also what Ms. Bartleman mentioned was the Evergreen Report. That's been something that this district has been graded on for the past 3 years. 3 years ago, there was a report that came out with 110 recommendations and approximately 45 commendations, and we're working diligently to meet those things, to not to just check them off, but to get some things accomplished. And it's indeed a task to do those. But we are making strides with that. In saying that, from the LEA profile, it looked at evaluation. It looks at evaluation, and we were commended for getting our evaluations done within 60 days. Now, as I mentioned, we have 35,000. We completed more than 5,000 evaluations, and we scored at 99.55% of those that we completed within the 60-day timeline. As far as FAPE and LRE for pre-K and K-12, now we have to look a little bit closer at our pre-K programs. We did not meet the goal for the pre-K, but we did outperform the state as far as our children being included. But we do recognize that is a growing population and more inclusive settings for our pre-K population. Now, as I mentioned already, for our school-age population, 81% of our students are included, and that grows each year, and the data does reflect that. In our pre-K growth, it's an area, pre-K growth as far as social, emotional, behavior, acquisition of knowledge and skills. That's an area of weakness for us right now. We did not meet the targets for those three indicators. However, we've taken the challenge, and as recent as last month, and time gets away from me, but last month or in the past 6 or so weeks, the school board did approve 2 new curriculum for the pre-K population, and it is has been research-based, evidence-based to show progress. And some of you may be familiar with Teach Town or the DIG curriculum, and I thought I could remember what DIG stood for, but I know the ING is Inspire and Grow. Develop, Inspire, and Grow is a curriculum that's going to help us, and it's well-rounded. It looks at not only just social, emotional, but it does look at the core instruction. And so those 2 areas are areas that we have some area of need. We're already jumping on it. It was just purchased. It's been training. We're working on rolling the training out in the next month or so, the next few months. And then we're going to just start collecting data at the very beginning so we can show that progress. Participation and performance on statewide assessment. It's no secret. It is no secret that we are struggling in reading and math for our ESE population. We did not meet the benchmark. The benchmark for the state is 51, 52%. We did not make that. But with the goals that we have set, and with your support, I'm sure that we can see some significant growth in those areas. In terms of our graduation rate, we can be commended for exceeding the state, exceeding and meeting the state, not only the state's performance, but exceeding our goals. We have more than 50% of our students graduated last year with a standard diploma, and that does exceed the state's overall performance. And so Broward County is ahead of the curve with that. Now, by increasing our graduation rate and meeting and exceeding that, we are commended not only at the state level, but also at the national level for decreasing our dropout rate below the benchmark across the state and federal level. So we are commended for that. Now, in terms of parent involvement, where you come in. In front of you, you'll see just a little graph. It's about the orange is district performance, the blue is the LEA target, and the purple is the state performance. You'll see that in our pre-K, it says percent of parents reporting that schools facilitate parental involvement. And of the parents who participated in the survey, 69% of them believe that our schools do facilitate parental involvement. But you see that is a decrease. It is decreasing from previous years. That is concerning to us. But it also ties it somehow I see the correlation between how we perform in pre-K as well. As I mentioned, we didn't meet those targets in those areas, so there may be a relationship. Hopefully with the new curriculum and training our teachers and our staff and working with our parents, we should see an increase in that. That is a goal. However, at the K-12 level, At the school age level, you see a steady increase of those parents who participated in the survey who do believe and who have perceived that we are facilitating parental involvement in our schools, and as evidenced by hearing the large population of people who are here. We want to challenge you to not just be involved, not just be present, but be engaged. And with that engagement comes learning more about ESE and support services, recognizing what services are benefiting our population. Also, we need from you to shout from the rooftops the accomplishments that we're making, but we also need you to give us feedback on where we can grow. We're not scared of that. It's hard work, we understand. We know that some things are systemic, but then there are some things that are isolated. But we need for you to work with us to get those things corrected, not only for your child, but for the other children who are in ESE and support services. So I mentioned the District BPI, and from that District BPI, we had an opportunity to have two significant groups. One was about 30 some representatives from across the district to include teachers, principals, parents, administrators, and the like, and we were able to come together to identify some things that we need to work on for our inclusion. Also, our schools. Help me with the statistic, but I believe that it was 87 or 88% of our schools did complete the BPI assessment, and some of them are still working on it. But from that, we were able to identify some indicators that we're discerning that are important to work on. But from the district side, what came out of it was that we need to provide more instruction, more increased opportunities for our students with disabilities in the pre-K setting. We got that. We need to provide job embedded and collaborative PD, not only for our teachers and staff, but definitely for our administrators as well, so that they're more familiar with what's available, what's appropriate for our students with disabilities, and they can lead from the top down in their different schools and sites. We're going to provide all district and school personnel with information related to person first language. In that, not only do we want to change our language and address our students as students first and not by their disability, but we also want to work with our documents, make our forms, whatever we use to push that through so that it's just not.
What is PD?
I'm sorry, professional development. Thank you. Thank you. Forgive me for not. Oh well, you know what SWD?
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right. So students with disabilities in PD to our schools and going back to people first language in our communication. Continue to develop partnership with colleges, universities, and career and technical schools. Didn't really speak about how well we're doing with transition, but the transition champion over there, we were also recognized by the state because more than half of our students, more than 60% of our students who graduated last year graduated ESE with a standard diploma. We have to follow them for a year or more. But for those that we followed for last year, more than half of them are either in post-secondary education, working, or those two things, either educated in post-secondary education or working a lucrative job. So we're commended for that. And to that evergreen review. All right. Not going to talk much about it. We had a meeting yesterday. Time flies.
Monday.
Thank you. Wednesday, not Tuesday. Monday, we had the Evergreen Review, and we met with the task force to review the progress that we've made, that we're making towards getting those 110 things accomplished, but really towards making and improving the work that we're doing here in the district. From our May workshop or our May Evergreen report, we were able to increase from 67 completed tasks to 75, and some of those things were definitely commended. We went to our board, and our board really helped support us getting that work done. You as parents helped us to get some of that work done, and we really are pleased with the progress that we're making. Our goal, which our department and all the staff that stood up were called the Game Changers, we agreed to make some BHAGs. Some of those BHAGs are big, hairy, audacious goals. One of those audacious goals is to have that Evergreen report, all 110 of those things completed by the end of the year. and we're going to have to, you will challenge us, and then we're going to have to challenge others above us to help us with the funding, because we've told you that the remaining things are related to money. And we're not talking about small money, significant money in funds.
I think it's really, really important to note when Dr. Hickman says completed, it's not a done and finished. It's our marathon. It's not a sprint. They are ongoing. We hit the benchmark of what we want to do. Now we have to do the sustainability and, more importantly, the accountability. So when we say completed, I'm really going to challenge us as maybe some of that district staff to say ongoing additionally, because I'm a black and white thinker. You told me it's done, it's done. And it's something we're going to do over and over and over.
Thank you for bringing it up, because some things that were able to be a one-time check off and done, but because of growth, because of turnover of teachers, because of turnover of students, because students, hey, we deal with annual IEPs. Some children master some things we have to do all over again when it comes to training. We can train one time and have it done, but some of those things can be completed, some are partially completed, but really in ESE, they're gonna all be, a lot of them are gonna be ongoing. But in order for us to reach that accomplishment on that chart, that task is to put
Hey,
before us.
Harris University participants, that is the end of session 3, and we are moving on to session 4. Session 4 is 7:30 to 7:50. I will come on the announcements again at 7:50. So enjoy your final session. Thank you.
All right, that's my cue to hurry up. BHAG, external, let's just talk about really quickly the goals. The goals for this department for this year to improve the perception of ESE and support services by improving our support to schools, by providing quality services to students and increasing our cross-divisional work and communication. That cross-divisional work means just that, not operating in a silo. We are ESE, we are in control of the principals, we have minimal control of what really goes on in the schools, but we have significant influence on how those things get done, when those things get done, and providing the support to get them done. How are we going to do that? One, I mentioned was the pre-K curriculum, which is pretty new. Being present more in the schools and working with the other divisions to provide that support, and providing feedback when we're there. Not just reporting when there are issues or concerns, but being able to proactively provide some training. Identifying look-fors and providing feedback and evidence-based research. We're going to work with our centers, our high schools and our tech colleges to produce more positive outcomes for our students with standard diplomas. I'm asking you to tweet, partner with the community, use newsletters, use the internet, message boards more, to create buzz about what's going on, to show and showcase or highlight, hey, if something happened good in your school, share it with someone else so that they'll be able to share and communicate, maybe replicate it in another school or setting. Let people know what ESE and support does and do it. We're starting that like right now. Many of you have an idea of what goes on with ESE and support services, but briefly, we'll be doing some introductions to help clear up who is tasked with what responsibility, so that you don't have to jump around to get the support. And you also can communicate out when a parent comes to you and asks you, where should I go? We're trying to make that a seamless transition. One of the things that we have partially completed is our website, and we're hoping that in the next few weeks we'll be able to upload and show a whole new website for ESE and support services. We've been working on that for the past 2 months. We had a little snag, I guess a technicality, but anyway, you want to say technical, but yeah, that's exactly what it is. So we're working on getting that out. Internally, to improve ESE and support service divisions morale. That's an internal goal for our department, because it can be kind of tough when all about you is feeling there's some negative, there's some pushing, and some believe or communicate more the negative and challenge us to say that what we aren't doing. And yet it's kind of hard when we have the data that's showing, I showed you the areas that we're performing in, but sometimes that's just not what gets promoted. And so internally, we want to make sure that we improve our communication about those things and improving the feeling of connectedness, and not just having our staff out there not feeling like they have somewhere to go to, somewhere to relate to, some place to learn, grow, and produce. So, in a nutshell, we're going to go to a little bit of introductions, but I want to share with you some of the things that in ESE and support services. There's curriculum, there's behavior, there's OT/PT, there's speech, there's assistive technology, hospital homebound, transition, audiology, Medicaid, 504, SEDNet, compliance, fiddlers, FIN, and school psychology, and that's what makes up the ESE and support services division. Before you contact me, okay? Or call Ms. Bartleman on her phone.
Yeah, exactly. Then I'll
who?
call him. I'll be like,
So
"What's
who's
going
who in ESE? I want to introduce to you first Sonia Clay, who's the ESE director, and followed by Ms. Clay.
She's from Dade County too.
Followed by Ms. Clay will be Dr. Mary Claire Musinik, who will introduce you to the support services team.
Okay, first I would like to introduce Ryan Norris. He's in the back. He's our facilities person, and he has a set of schools that he's assigned to. In addition to that, he also oversees about 4 contracts with Spring Pine. Next, I want to introduce Beth Williams. She's our EBD, Emotional Behavior Disabilities Supervisor. And what else do you have there? A lot of behavior stuff, okay. No, we don't, we're just gonna do brief today. Andrea Ciadi, I saw her here, stand up, Andrea. She's our IND, which is Intellectual Disability Supervisor, and she also handles our, Florida's, standards, alternate assessment, I'm sorry. Next, I wanna introduce Gary Griegel. I saw Gary, he's our Autism Spectrum Disorder Supervisor. And he also works with Tim to do the Autism in Flight, so.
And he supports our ACE committee.
And he supports your ACE committee,
All around great.
as well as Andrea.
Oh, okay, so that's
Andrea.
right.
Andrea is the one. Janice Koblik, she's our Specific Learning Disability Supervisor, and she also helps out with our content areas when it comes to literacy or anything relating to the literacy field guide. Lou Riccolo, he's our transition supervisor. Everyone is familiar with him. He has our transition programs. And then we have the pre-K supervisor position, which is vacant at this time. We hope to have it filled within the next month or so. But that is the position that Donna McCann has dealt with, but all of the supervisors, along with myself, have been filling in until we get a replacement. And last but not least is Terry Spurlock. She's not here today, but she has a host of things. And she has hospital homebound, I had to write them down so I don't forget. Hospital homebound, deaf, hard of hearing, visual impairments, interpreters, braille lists, and private school services. So that covers our section, but we also deal with any academic, behavior, or programmatic issues, including school budgets. We assist the principals when they're looking at their school budgets when it comes to the ESE fund.
I want to note that is really, really important because I know, Deb, you're in a different house, but I just heard on Friday, she went to every single school budget meeting with our principals and said, might want to tweak this, might want to do that, how about we do it that way? So I'm not a big hashtag person, but if I were to have one, it would be breaking down silos. So thank you, Deb.
Good. Good evening. I'm Mary Claire Musinik, and I'm the Director of Support Services. So I'd like to introduce my staff. So I'm going to start with Gwen Lipscomb, who is our Fiddlers Coordinator in Finn. So she does the Child Find Preschool referral process, parent education, professional development for teachers, and also anyone who's interested in UDL. So we love her. Thank you. UDL, Universal Design for Learning. So if you don't know UDL, but that's a really important thing for making sure that all the curriculum is accessed for our kids. Next is Dr. Charlene Gressick, who is our SEDNet coordinator, and she also oversees all the ESE family counselors. So these are the family counselors that are tied to some of your children's IEP. Next is Sarah Samuels, who is one of our due process coordinators, along with Allicia Stark. So they do a lot of professional development for our ESE specialists, and they also provide technical assistance for our schools. Behind her is Tara Roger, and she's our electronic management systems manager. and that's Easy IEP. So you guys are all familiar with Easy IEP because you use that as far as putting your child's individual education plan, all the goals and their present level performance. She's in charge of that management system, but she's also our McKay Scholarship contact person for the district. And then going down, I have Deb Harrington, who is the OT, PT, and SLP curriculum supervisor. And so she's working very hard. She makes sure we have our OT, PT, and SLP contracts, so we have service providers in our school.
And I just have to thank you for the kudos, Ally, but I would be remiss if I didn't say, I wish I had been able to go all the budget conferences, but I do share with the other fire supervisors, because we support each other at the budget conferences, because there's lots of them. And we support each other with recommendations we make for support facilitators and additional SLP help. So I'd love to say that, gee, I did all that, but I really didn't, because I depend on
Thank you, guys.
as well as
But I think the big picture is if we were at the table.
Yes.
For the
yes.
10 years I've been doing this, all we wanna do is be at the table, get us at the table. So thank you all, 5 of them, right? 5, 6, 6.
My soul job.
Okay, next I want to introduce Rhonda Said, who is one of our coordinators for psychological service, and we also have Emily Goldstein, who isn't here with us tonight, but there's 2 of them. They oversee all the preschool evaluation teams that are located at Wingate, and also we have 118 school psychologists that are out at our schools. So not only do they do psychological evaluations, but they support the district in social emotional learning, MTSS, RTI, and they also are part of our crisis response teams. So thank you. And last but not least is Deneen Gorasini. She's not with us tonight, but she's our Medicaid manager, and also she oversees 504. Okay, thank you.
Nice. That's it.
Oh, no, by all means.
Okay, so the ask is what we are supposed to be ending all presentations or communication with when we stand before any group, is how can we help you? How can we help you? I know that there's going to be some questions and answers at the end of this meeting, but there's also opportunity for you to communicate. The reason that we're sharing and introducing folks that you may already know or may not know, but the reason that we're doing that is so that you know more about ESE, who to go to, and don't feel ashamed or whatever to reach out to get your concerns addressed. How can you help us? You can help us by being nice when you call and ask for those things. Just be nice a little bit. It's easy to catch a bear with honey than a sledgehammer. So please understand. Can all staff ESE and support services stand up at once?
Please.
Please, thank you. Collectively, folks, these are the people who are working hard to provide positive outcomes for your children. They have communicated, we have come together to say, these are the BHAGs that we're going to work on. We're going to change the perception, change the outcome, communicate more, and work towards providing those outcomes for our children. Okay, and we're going to do that by going in schools and supporting them, and supporting you, and being present, trying to respond to it. Remember, the 6th largest district in the world does have, in the country. It might be the world, but the 6th largest division in the country has the 6th largest population of students with ESE and support services. And you only have about 20 people that are working to get that done. So give us a little time, but also use the protocols that are in front of you. You can have a seat, and I'll wrap it on up after that. Please try. How you can help us is by starting in your school before you jump to one of them to assist. What happens when you contact one of us about a problem and you haven't talked to the teacher, ESE specialist, program specialist, principal, AP, or let's try this. What happens when you jump all the way to Ms. Bartleman? She emails me.
Yeah.
I call someone, and they have to do what? They have to contact the principal, the teacher, the ESE specialist to get the story. And you know how long that takes in this big world that we live in? It takes a while. Then you're upset nobody responded to you for a week or 2. But it takes that much time to do that. And if you haven't upfront established a relationship with your child's teacher, support facilitator, ESE specialist, program specialist, principal, AP, then usually that's part of the problem. So we ask that you help us by following that protocol and reaching out, and then just giving us a chance to work towards that. You can also support us when it's time for us to start asking for the funds to help us accomplish those remaining 30 to 40 things on the Evergreen report that will help put some more support in classes, because that's what we're going to look for, more support in the schools, not more support at our level, and that's our focus. So I'll end with this last slide, if it clicks to it. Can't see what I see over here. I was doing so well. Please just make sure that you use the contacts available, and it won't go there. So thank you very much. Walford, back to
Thank you
you.
so much. So, hands down, this is a parent advisory. This is a parent and community-driven advisory, but I really am beyond grateful that the district staff has taken their time to come out, putting faces with the names, because all of their names are on the current website, will be on the improved website, but it's about relationship building. And it's not a secret that there have been really strained relationships. New day, moving forward. So we will have these forms at every single ESE meeting. And these are for your individual concerns. What is your concern with your child at your school? And then I'm sure they'll be in multiple colors, so don't get stuck with it. It might be the yellow one. But here, as a whole, we're going to try and lump all of those individual concerns and see what is a systemic concern. And where do we need to look at that globally? And if it's happening in District 3, is it also happening in District 6? So that's part of our role. So I'm going to do one last introduction and call out again before we get into some of our business, because it does tie into my next part. We're going to talk about our goals and objectives. So I just would love to recognize our previous past chair, Kelly Thomerson. And I really don't think we would be here. There's got to be 60 people in here. I don't think in 10 years, I've ever been in a meeting with this many people. But they were very purposeful and mindful last year with the goals and objectives. So getting into the meat of our meeting, what I want to say moving forward is it's the first meeting of the year. So probably some of the new parents are like, oh my God, why am I sitting here for so long for this? It's important. It's the relationship building. And we are going to get into the meat. We're really excited about having different types of presenters, different types of workshops, different types of dialogue. And then, like I said, that committed stop at 8:30 for any individual parent concern. So the goals that they had last year were parents are empowered to best support their children. I love that. I think that's an amazing goal. I think, personally, I would love to keep that one. General education and exceptional student education partners to ensure best practices and optimal outcomes for all students. I think that's on point. I think that is a fabulous goal and objective for the ESE Parent Advisory. The third one, which was just profound in its reach, and it went all the way up to the top, was all ESE students will meet state-approved grade level standards for language arts. We'll talk about your BHAG. We got BHAGs too. So we didn't make that one, but what we did do is we made it to some other divisions, and that hashtag breaking down silos, that's Mr. Gold's objective. That's Ms. Pope's objective. That's our school board members' objective, but it is all students. So I would like to challenge us to think about our third goal and what we would like that to be next year, or this year. And we'll bring that forward at next month's meeting. The recommendation that I'll be writing and putting in the pot, and there are note cards on your desk if you have a burning desire and you want to put it on there now, meaningful and appropriate supported inclusion for all students. Not just ESE students, students of all colors of the rainbow. Not just race-identified students, but gender students. I want all of our students to feel included. And if they need more supports to be at the level playing field, what do we have to do to make it happen? So that's my BHAG. That's my want. I'm going to jump into the chair report. So part of how advisory works, let me have a hand real quick. Who is here that has done advisory forever and ever and ever? Raise your hand if you've done, yeah, Ivan, definitely. If you've done advisory forever and ever and ever, you've done it. If you've done it for about 5 years, put your hands up. If you've done it for less than 5 years, put your hands up. Okay, so we've got some new faces. So there's this process, and part of that process is something they call looping. One of the ways that I kind of tackled my way of advocacy and my way of activism was the the quote from Chisholm was, "If you're not invited to the table, bring a chair." So I went to Central Area Advisory, and I said, I'm just not getting heard, I'm not getting what I want, and I went to a different advisory body and wound up really making some great things. So we have this method that Dr. Hickman was talking about earlier. At our school, every single school by Florida statute is required to have what they call a SAC committee. That's a school advisory council. And it's got mandated composition. And one of those positions on SAC is an ESE advisory representative. Now sometimes the meetings are difficult to make, sometimes they happen at inconvenient times, but if you are so drawn that you want to be involved in your school, that's an opportunity. There's also SAP, and Laurie actually helped me on this one. SAC, you are elected to. PTA or PTO, you pay dues. SAP, anybody, any community member, any person attached there. Those bodies bring it up to the area advisory brings it up to DAC, DAC brings it up to the school board. We have gotten so many things done in that process, and the things we've had to get to the school board, we work on those. We work on getting those done too. So that is our looping policy. So we give you all this information for you to use, but we want you to take it back to your schools. We want you to take it back to your communities. We want you to take it and educate people. But more importantly, we want you to bring 2 people back with you next time, because next month, when district staff gets to enjoy their evening after their already 14-hour day, and we only have 20 people in here, my ego is going to be really hurt. So bring a friend with you next month. That is that. Okay. I don't know what the outcome of it was, and but yesterday at the school board meeting, they talk about policy, and policy is what governs what happens at the schools. And one of the many policies that they talked about was policy 5.9, which is bullying. And we know that many of our children that have exceptionalities are bullied. And there is a draft on the resource table. Please help yourself with that draft. One of the things that I saw was it didn't have enough parent language. So maybe, Laurie, can you just give us a quick update on what happened yesterday?
We voted on the policy for the statutory adjustments to the policy, so it passed with those yesterday, and then it will be worked through again and looped through all the different groups, and then we will address the policy for next year, because it takes a few months till it gets through this whole procedure, and then we will look at it again to tweak it for next year.
So every single advisory has a school board representative, and many of those representatives here, they take that information back, and both ladies have said, Allie, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? So if you think that, just one person or that just a parent voice isn't heard, I want to tell you it is absolutely and without doubt heard. The calendar option, if you're not aware of that in your schools, they are looking, and this is like the grad level of task force, so I'm not going to go into it too deep. You can reach out to your SACs or your staff about it, but the options are starting on Wednesday, August 16th and ending Friday, June 1st, or starting on Monday, August 21st and ending on Tuesday, June 6th. And there's a lot of different reasons for that. Reach out to your area advisory chairs. So South area is Veronica Newmeyer, Central area is Julia Spann, and North area is Dana Bahari. Actually, Veronica is not your South area chair. I believe her name is Jessica, but Veronica is your DAC chair. The website, We were invited this summer to give our feedback. Some of the parents that helped out with that are here. We heard the families, we're tired of the alphabet soup. Let's have a dictionary of the alphabet soup. We want to know who we need to talk to. And then we're going to take that information and tweak and improve upon our newly done website from last year. We've already talked about the Teens Transition Summit on this Saturday. The Parent Engagement Conference is going to be at Fort Lauderdale High School on 11/19. And next month, we've already touched upon it a little bit. We're very excited to bring out some people from Gwen's team, from Finn, to talk about inclusion. So we're going to have Finn and Best Buddies and student testimony. What is inclusion? What does it really mean? How do we do it? How do we ensure that we're not just, I don't want to use this word, but I really can't think of another one, dumping a child in a situation they're not prepared for. So meaningful, appropriate inclusion with supports as necessary to the individual needs of that child. Best Buddies is going to come out and they're going to say, hey, this is how we do it. If you take anything back to
Dear
your schools.
University participants, our time with you has come to an end. We appreciate your time at the Bengal Nation, and please do contact us if you have any questions about the presentations tonight. You can also look on the website. Everything will be posted tomorrow for your review, and please tell your friends. They can reference all of the information there. Thanks again for coming out to the Bengal Nation. Have a great evening.
With this idea of inclusion, we've spent a lot of time with special education is not a place, but a service. And it's taken a long time for people to realize that. With inclusion, if I don't leave you with anything, it is a mindset, not a program. So I want everybody to say it with me. I'm going to pull out my preschool teacher mode. Inclusion is a mindset. A little bit better, guys. Come on. Not a program.
Not a program.
It's a what?
Mindset.
A what?
Mindset.
It's a mindset. It's a mindset. And it's not just for our kids, it's for everybody. So I guess going to the business part of the meeting, that really kind of covers my update, which is a lot. Most of that will be on your agenda. Jackie, our recording secretary, is just methodical about her minutes. So part of this process of being an organization is following Robert's rules and following Sunshine and having all of our paperwork in order. So if we could just take a moment to look at those minutes from June and let us know if there are any amendments or corrections to them before we approve them and put them in the body of our information. Yes, Ms. Janet.
One quick question before we do that.
Yes, ma'am.
I haven't looked at the bullying policy.
Okay.
I've been doing a million and one other things. I don't have a bully in the family. I do have a child that's been bullied.
Okay.
But having worked in a maximum security prison, sometimes I find the policies are very prison-like because the bully is somebody and they got to that place somehow. It started as a little baby just born. Is there anything to look at that, or is it all draconian, you bullied and you're done?
So that's a really, really good point. And I will say the evolution I have seen from punitive to interventive is coming forward. Are you able to speak on that? Is that in your house, Ms. Pope?
Yes, it is.
Can you come speak on that? Because I think it's really important, because it'll touch on our social emotional learning, right?
Sure.
All right, so this is what's fabulous about breaking down those silos. Not only do we have all of the ESE department, but we had someone from the Office of Service Performance and Accountability and the Director of Student Support Initiatives and Diversity Prevention
And a whole bunch of other.
and a whole bunch of other things. So,
Is he in
Janet,
charge?
she can speak directly to that.
Good evening again. So Allie is absolutely right about the position that we take as a system around looking at both children, whether they are, one being bullied and another who is the bully, and the fact that we recognize that both are in need of support and both are in need of intervention. So the policy has, I think in the last 5 years, have really looked to address issues of bullying, not just with punitive aspects, not just with consequences, but then what? What do we do with the child who has been bullied? What types of supports do they need? How do we reconcile the relationship? So we're really looking at restorative justice as part of the process. And then the bully themselves, the board, as we were working through some other discipline policies, our code of student conduct, as we were working through some work we were doing with our promise program, the board was very, very insistent on looking at children who are bullies themselves and what interventions are we putting in place for them. So the bullies, when they go into our promise program, are provided with all types of wraparound supports that begin with the realization, of their actions and what it meant to the individual that they bullied, and then the consequences that could follow as they grow up, into adulthood and continue these types of actions. And then what interventions, once they go back, they transition back into the school building, how do we now restore the relationship with the person that they have bullied? And how do we maintain that child from repeating that same act with, constant check with either a guidance counselor or school counselor, social worker, putting the folks that are around this child on notice that we need to continually, over the next 6 weeks or so, check on this child to assure that they don't repeat or reoffend in that matter. So it is a continued conversation.
Thank you.
We struggle with
100% never return.
yeah, on the bullying, on the kids who have gone through promise for bullying, those are the kids that we don't see who reoffend. So
You never hear that.
tells us that some of that is working. We do struggle because we have still folks in the community and parents, particularly whose children have been bullied, who really feel that we need to, go through the most severe, punishment with these students. So we struggle with helping them to understand. So to hear from a parent of a child who has been bullied, that level of sensitivity, I have to commend you for that, because it's really what we'd like to see from all of our parents. Many don't see that we also need to support this other child. So thank you. I hope that answers your question.
Yes.
So with that being said, a very important part, and you guys, if anything, you'll learn from me. I'm not afraid to have the challenging conversation. I may not do it in the way that somebody else would do it. This includes our adults. This includes our adults. It's very important. And as part of that training process that the district is doing and part of that customer service model that they're doing, we do have some non-instructional staff that could use additional support. There are opportunities for learning there. There was no language in the policy regarding non-instructional. It was district, it was teachers, it was administrators, but there was nothing on non-instructional. So I tell you, I have been heard. I would not be standing right here I wouldn't waste my time if I didn't feel like I was heard. I do know that there are many, many, many parents that don't feel heard. Keep speaking up. Keep talking. Follow that chain of command. So, are we ready to have a motion to approve our minutes?
Yes.
Or a correction? Do we have a correction, Jessica?
No.
No. Anybody who was here in January, June, willing to make that motion to approve? Kelly will make amendment. Motion to approve by Kelly and seconded by Ivan. Thank you, guys. And then that would lead us into, what's the date for Ed Talk, you guys? November 8th? Who in the room does not know what Ed Talk is? That's okay. The 5th. Okay. So we're going to get that date for you, but there's this handy new thing, and it's actually not new. We've had it for a couple of years, but it's had a great boost, is the app. Broward County Public Schools has an app. There's a district calendar on the landing page of it. I live by that app. But more importantly on that app, on the second page, is the directory. If the school has uploaded the information to the directory, you can email whoever you need directly from that. You can find the school name on the list. It's broken into administrator, teachers, and staff. It's beautiful because you don't have to dig through your email at home and attaches to whichever email you want to use it. I love the app.
Saturday, November 5th is Ed Talk.
Saturday, November 5th is Ed Talk. And I believe it's the 4th one, maybe the 5th one, but it's exactly what it says. It's a talk on education. And I do believe, again, this is an area where
You know, some things are a little repetitive, but other things I do feel a little bit heard on. So if you are so inclined to, you know, go and listen and provide some input, I want to make you aware of that. Very, very hard work is done by our subcommittees. This is general, global, systemic for all children with IEPs and 504 plans. And you'll have to remind me to say 504 because in the past that hasn't been part of our language. So we do have 3 subcommittees. I would love for them to come up and give us an update about what they have been diligently working on this summer and in their first meetings. So who's going to go first? Bach, you want to go first? Oh, Adrian made it. Hi, Adrian. Welcome. So this is our chair for the Down Syndrome Committee, Adrian McKenzie. Awesome. And she's going to give us an update on everything in your world.
I'm really tall.
I am. Just bring it down. Good evening.
Good evening.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Great. Hello, my name is Adrienne McKenzie, and I'm the chair of the Down Syndrome Subcommittee. I'm the new chair. I've officially been on the job just a few weeks. So I want to say hello to everyone in the room, and to let you know that I'm very happy to be here. So you know, I have 2 children in the Broward District School Board, a 4-year-old and a soon-to-be 6-year-old. My 4-year-old has Down syndrome and is in the pre-K ESE program at Bennett Elementary, and I have a 6-year-old at Harbordale. So I'm very happy to be here as a parent of both children, but representing mostly my child with Down syndrome. So far, we're looking forward to an exciting and productive year of learning, not only for our children, but also for myself. I'm looking forward to learning from you and looking forward to learning from others in the community. I'm happy to share some events that we're working on as part of our subcommittee, things that we've done and things that we are going to be doing. We had our first meeting yesterday. It still seems a little high to me. I'm just going to try and adjust it. Our first general meeting yesterday, we had an excellent turnout. We had lots of parents who came out to hear. We had representation from the district. I saw Ms. Clay there yesterday. Ms. Ciotti was there as well. And it was wonderful. We had a member from the APD come out and speak to us about the Med Waivers program. And it was very nice to see because not only did we have parents of children with Down syndrome, but we also had parents from other subcommittees, ACE including and so on, who came out. So what we are seeing is that people are recognizing that we can cross-share resources and that the resources that we provide are not just for our Down syndrome children, but are available to anyone who's interested. Our next meeting is going to be in October, and at that meeting we're going to be talking about access points. So for some of us, we have children who are on standards, we have children who are on access points. If you know nothing about it, if you've never heard what access points, if you want to hear more information about it, please come on out. This is an opportunity to learn about what it means, whether or not this is suitable for your child, whether it's appropriate for your child. If you don't know what it is, come on out. We're going to have lots of discussion and opportunity to talk about whether that is suitable for you and exactly what it means. Meeting at the police station in Nob Hill Road, and we meet monthly, Tuesdays 10 till 12, so you're welcome to come out. We encourage you to check your calendars. I'm just exploring the app. I think it's fantastic, this app here in terms of Brown. I'm scrolling through it, I'm finding new things, I'm finding things on the calendar, which is, I'm glad that everything is centralized and I'm making a good use of it. So check on there for things that are occurring for our subcommittee. We have a few events that are coming up later in October. Our first event that I wanted to tell you about is coming up on Wednesday, October the 5th. We're going to be meeting at the KC Wright building, and we want all of you to come out and support the resolution that we're making to make October Down Syndrome Awareness Month. So we're looking forward to a great turnout with that in terms of that. I also want to talk about our signature event that's put on by the Broward Gold Coast organization, Down Syndrome organization. We're having our annual Buddy Walk, which is Sunday, October the 16th. I want to make sure I have the right date. And so if you haven't yet signed up for a team, I know ESE has a team ready, and we're looking forward to seeing you all there. Whether you're going to be running the 5K, whether you're going to be walking, whether you're going to be limping along like I'm going to be doing, we'll make it to the finish line. So if you haven't yet joined a team, or you're looking to support a team, if you're affiliated with a school and you want to support your local school, there are children there, go on out. It really doesn't matter who you support, providing you come out and support this wonderful organization. This is our 21st year. And so, it's been growing phenomenally. It's going to be a fantastic day. Thousands of people come out. I think last year I saw Miss Clay there walking along, and I think I saw the superintendent speeding along as well. So,
And I won first place in my age group.
there you go.
Nice.
First place in our age group.
I'm
Sure.
very proud of
That's
that.
fantastic.
I'll never do that again.
Somebody looking to take her medal this year. So we're looking for support on this. This is a fantastic opportunity to get out there and meet some of the parents of children with Down syndrome. They want to see our faces. They want to see that we are part of the community. They want to see you. So come on out and meet some new people, or reconnect with some people that you haven't seen in a while. And let's see if I have one more thing. I think that's just about it. I probably just want to mention to you again is just please check your Facebook. We do have a Facebook page that Bach works wonders on keeping up to date about things affecting children with Down syndrome. And I think that's just about it for tonight. Thank you all for your time.
All right, next, we have our oldest subcommittee, ACE, and they work tirelessly, and they are a truly motivated and just incredibly engaged community. One of the things that is a great resource is the Autism Notebook. They also have the Parent Notebook. They have agreed at some point of making sure to publish our meetings, so maybe we can even have a wider stretch. So I'm going to invite Kelly to come out, and she says she doesn't like the mic, so we're going to see if we can hear her.
Can everybody hear me?
Okay.
I feel really big now, so I think I can do that. The microphone makes me nervous. Okay, as you guys know, I'm Kelly Bush. I'm the chair of the ACE committee, and we are a subcommittee of the ESE advisory. Our September 7th meeting, we had Mallory Schneider with UMNSU CARD come out. That's Center for Autism-Related Disabilities, for those of you who don't know what that acronym is. And she presented to the group and answered questions about the different services that they provide and how they can assist families. So we had a great group out. We had about 40 people in attendance.
Wow.
We gave them a great presentation. She had a PowerPoint, and we had a lot of questions at the end of how parents can access their services and how they can bring CARD into their school scenarios and situations and provide trainings to teachers and parents and things like that. We also presented our report, which included the district updates that we've gathered from attending various meetings, and we take questions from the families and parents that come and have discussions about certain issues. We try to stick to systemic issues, but as we typically find out, if you have an issue, a personal issue, it's probably other people are having that issue as well. So we like to invite people to talk about all different sorts of issues that they may be having with their own child, and sort of turn it into something we can improve on a systemic level. Let's see. I have to read off my phone because my printer gave up on me. We discussed the literacy field guide. Also, Gary Riegel is our representative that comes to our meetings. Marcia Hedman is the vice chair, and Gary gives a report also from the district and allows parents to ask questions, and we get into different discussions with him. And he's a real trooper with putting up with us, riding his back the whole time. Poor Gary. We have a really great website that we put together. Margie takes care of all that technical stuff. like I said again, I think that teachers who hear autism, they're difficult learners. And so we're really gonna work on pinpointing that for our parents. Our next executive board meeting is on Friday, when we'll be working on this, as well as the flow chart. Our next general meeting, we hold our general meetings at Bowdoin Preschool. If anybody wants to know where that is, the address and all the information and all of our dates are on our website, which again is acebroward.org.
And the calendar.
And it's on the calendar. Let's see, and Mr. Hickman, I know you used the word an ask. I have an ask. May I?
Go for it.
I'd like to ask.
Wait, Kelly, make it a BHAG.
What's that?
Big, audacious, big, hairy, audacious goal.
I'd like to ask for this meeting that we can provide the district with an ACE flyer that includes our meeting dates, so that the principals, the ESE specialists, and the autism coaches can make sure that these are distributed to the appropriate families and parents. We've been working on this for a long time, and I know that Gary has been helping us to do this, but I think that we need more help in making sure that the appropriate parents get our information, because I talk to parents all the time who are just learning that we exist. And so I think that, that's our first line of communication with them is through school. And so to be able to have the coaches, the ESE specialists, the principals all on board with making sure that their parents in their school are aware of ACE in our meetings, and that, they can come to us for help and guidance. I think that would be a big help for ACE and a big help for our parents as well. Let's see. One more thing I just wanted to bring up, because it's something that's been buzzing around this past week in my ear and in other parents' ears, is that ACE is very concerned about the segregated nature of how our schools are set up, physically set up. Because, we work really hard to create this culture of inclusion and acceptance and all is all and all of these terms, but if the kids who are in these cluster classrooms or special education classrooms are off over in another wing of the school, or if they're off in these portables in a separate area altogether of the school, and they're not changing classes and they're not walking through the hallways with their peers. So obviously, if that's not happening, then the kids in the other part of the school, the general education classrooms, are not thinking that these kids are part of their community. So I understand that when these schools were built and these autism clusters were made and they were put over in a certain wing with the autism coach's office or all in one section, it wasn't an intentional thing to segregate them. But, institutions had good intentions behind them too, okay? So clusters have good intentions behind them and good reasons why we need to have them. But in our opinion, if you have a cluster classroom with first and second graders in it, then perhaps the first and second grade cluster should be over with the other first and second grade area, okay? And so on and so forth for the other grades. I'd be interested to find out from our parents how many people experience this in their school, because there are parents that are really getting pretty upset about that being a segregated area of the school. Even if it's just its own hallway, those kids should be with other kids that are their own age and in their own grade. So that's kind of going to be a big push from us this year as well, is to see if we can try and overcome that somehow.
Allie?
Also, I'm going to hit you guys up with the Marina Walk. I'm here you're going to do with, okay, so you're going to have to commit to another day. January 21st, just to remind you, that's the day for our walk.
All right.
Thanks so much for listening.
Thank you, Kelly. So I'm going to have the SLD committee, specific learning disability, give their report real quick, and then we'll take comment. But because I was really emphatic about 8:30 is parents' time, and that's hard. So who's going to come do the SLD report? Is that Nordine or Kelly? Nordine. I need you to come up here though, because we are taping, and when the door opens, it's really difficult. And the whole point of doing the streaming is, that our parents requested that they really needed that. So, but we're definitely probably going to let you address that after Nordine's done.
Yeah.
Chair of the SLD committee. This year I am the communications person. And as Kelly so pointed out, autism and Downs also includes our SLD community. SLD stands for reading, writing, and math. And all of our children need reading, writing, and math, whether they're Downs or SLD. However, in our general pop, 1 in 5 children is dyslexic. And our goal has always been, and will continue to be, to identify those children at an early stage and give them the interventions, as Kelly spoke with about the autism children and the Downs children, interventions that work. It's very important that we understand that these children need multisensory learning, and that's how their brains work, that's how they absorb the information. And our goal this year is to make sure that we educate parents and teachers on the word dyslexia and use it in our IEPs, in our teacher conversations, and that it's not a word that you cannot use anymore. Our first meeting was on September 12th. All of our meetings are on the Broward ESE Advisory Council flyer, and I'm hoping a lot of parents will come out. They're at Plantation High School. They are in the evenings this year. Last year we had them in the day, and this year we've moved them to the evenings to accommodate more parents. Our next meeting is October 10th. Our last meeting we had the staff come and present the BDS, did I get that right? BAS tracking system. And this is a new system that they started this year. It was very interesting. All Broward County schools, my understanding, will be using it, and all of the teachers are being trained on it. The BAS system is going to be utilized to identify all of our children's needs, whether they're whatever their disabilities. And it is a one-stop shop for Broward County this year. They've always had multiple systems that they could use out there, and this one is going to be used throughout the Broward County. Many of our parents were very excited about that because in the past they said there was always a pidge-podge of different identification systems that they used, and there was not real consistency. So we're hoping to see great results from the BAS. The parents at the SLD meeting did, however, bring up the point that they would like some more phonemic awareness in the BAS and identifying the children's phonemes, and if they can, and know their sounds before we get into reading and books and comprehension. So that is something the Broward County Schools is certainly looking into. We're also working with them on their literacy guide. They are having a dyslexia task force this year. So there's many exciting things happening, but we have to keep staying on the topics and, push for what our children need, all of them. So welcome everybody. I hope you'll continue to come out. I hope you'll join into some of these other meetings and let your voice be heard, because you can make a difference. Thank you very much. Robin, you wanted to address?
Yeah, I just wanted to say for ACE, I did get the email about the situation at that school, and the person who sent the email did a good job and copied everybody, and that's what you need to do. On issues like that, copy your board members. Let them know what's going on, because not included in that was the chief school accountability officer in that chain, and she's the direct supervisor for the principal. And part of the issue is sometimes parents are afraid to speak up. And sometimes they think, I'm sure, I know one parent who's here because of something that may need to be a whole policy change, and Stacy's working with him to get the state to give an answer. So don't be afraid to copy us on your emails, or if you're at the school level and you hit a roadblock, to stop. I want you to go through the whole school chain. But those parents did that already, and their kids are still in portables, segregated from the whole school. So this is your time to use your voice and not be afraid to speak up and advocate for your children, okay? That's all I wanted to tell you guys.
So, can you answer that? Are there people here that would like to speak about that?
Well, I'd like to hear some of the other parents' concerns real quick. What I think is going to be the best way to do this is let's see who has what concerns and we can get them out there, and Ms. Clay will absolutely get them down, and then we'll see if we can provide any immediate feedback. So I want to open up the floor. Typically we say 3 minutes. I'm not going to cut you off, but I absolutely want to give everybody a chance. So right here in the back, you have something?
Yeah, you want me to come up?
I would love that. If you're willing, that'd be great. And typically we have a mic, but as Mr. Gomez said, they had multiple events here. So in the future, we wouldn't expect you to come to the podium. We'll come to you with a mic. So just say your name, and if you would like your school, but you don't have to.
My name is Samantha Montalegre. I'm actually a former ESE Advisory Council member, board member. I have child Matthew in the back who attends Nova Middle School. And for the past 6 years, I've been blissfully able to get through elementary school, and Matthew successfully completed every grade, mainstreamed, and went on to middle school. I'm going to start what I'm going to say with Matthew's hope. Make all art teachers nice. Well, it sounds like a nice sentiment until you realize why he's saying it. My crash course into middle school started with an art teacher who thought it was appropriate to have a handwriting exercise where the kids would all provide a handwriting sample and then critique each other on it. Mind you, this is at a middle school that I was told by the ESE specialist that dysgraphia is not a specific learning disability, but a medical diagnosis. Okay? I've been fighting with Broward County Schools for the entire time I've had Matthew that his handwriting was not normal. It is not normal. He has assistive technology because occupational therapy can't figure out what to do, and yet I'm sure it's dysgraphia, but nobody will diagnose him with it. So I have an art teacher who's so insensitive that she can't even recognize that this is not appropriate for regular kids, let alone a kid who every IEP meeting since he's been in Part C, we've mentioned handwriting as an issue. So the issues are real. They are here. But I know that this district is working forward to do it, but something's missing. Because when parents are having these complaints and we come to the district with our hammer instead of our honey, it's because how in the world in this day and age do you have an ESE specialist saying dysgraphia is a medical diagnosis, not a learning disability? And how do you have a teacher thinking that this is an appropriate form of curriculum? So I'm back to get more involved because I think that we need it. I would encourage all of you parents, I've sent many parents to this committee. It actually does something good. It's just we've got to get it moving more. All right? Awesome. Thank you.
All right.
Hi, good evening. My name is David Tang. I'm one of the parents that Kelly Bush is talking about. My son, Darian, he is currently attending Fox Trail Elementary, and we figured, with of course the help from Stacy Hoagland, that we feared that our 3 out of the 5 ASD cluster classroom is currently in the portable area, and there are other rooms and also in the portable, but there's no gen ed classrooms there, so we feel it's a type of segregation. And this morning, as a matter of fact, we met with the principal, Burgess, and one of the solutions that she gave it to us is, okay, she's actually not using the word attacking, but she's actually dividing each different parent's concern. And majority of the concern of the parents are because the security concern of the portable area, there's no gate, no lock on the fence gate. So the solution that she gave it to us is, okay, we can move your son back into the main building, but your classroom is going to be doubled up. And currently, and that's the other concern I want to talk about, is that currently the pupil to staff ratio right now in my son's classroom is almost 6-1. So right now, if she's saying that's one of the solutions, it would be 12-1, and I don't think that's the right ideal ratio either. Thank you for your time.
Part of the process and what's important is these concerns will be reflected on our minutes. Our minutes become, what do they call it? Public property? Public record. And so they will go to the school board. I may not read verbatim our entire set of minutes when I do our chair report, but I do have a chair report. Every school board meeting, I get 3 to 5 minutes to say what I need to say on public record, and you can watch it on the Beacon. So I'd like to invite another parent to come share. Perfect, thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Andy Singh, and my daughter, the name is Karina Singh. She goes to Peters Elementary, and I have a concern with regarding vision therapy, where my daughter had glaucoma surgery in her left eye, and she had brain surgery, which affected the vision in her right eye. And during an evaluation, I'm telling the vision therapist that she's bumping into things, and then the vision therapist is telling me that she's still not sure if the student meets vision therapy requirements. So I have a concern as to exactly what is the eligibility and requirement for students to receive vision therapy, because clearly I don't understand.
So they're gonna get your name and information and what issues we can follow up and bring light to at the next meeting, I promise you, I will, you guys. Who else would like to share? Kaliba? Oh, you are tall.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm 6'1".
Oh, I'm a whole foot shorter than you. Here we go. Okay, Calibra Jacobs Reed, my son goes to Silver Trail Middle, and I also have a 2-year-old who, if you'd like to volunteer, I'd be happy to drop him off. You think I'm kidding. So I have some more systemic type of issues that I'd like to talk about, and I have 3, so I'm sorry that I have so many. One is for parents that are working. And so for Dr. Hickman, I'm interested in how many parents that are actually employees of Broward County Schools. Because one of the issues that I have as a parent and also an employee of Broward County School is I can't go to any of the meetings. I can't go to the meetings at Arthur Ashe. I can't go to the ACE meeting. I can barely make it to this, but I won't be grading papers tonight. It's very preventative, and I think that out of the 35,000 students in our system, there has to be a significant amount of that population who has parents that actually work in the system. So there's almost a subgroup of parents who the services that you offer really aren't available to us. And so I would like to see some consideration there in the timing that you offer meetings, or whether things are on Saturdays, or making things available, not just streaming, but also like that it's a podcast or something. But I think there's also some value in us being there in person and getting to meet people. So if there could be something for district employees who are also parents of kids with disabilities, I think that would be greatly appreciated. Second thing, which Dr. Hickman knows I have a concern about, is summer school. Yay. Okay, so I would like for summer school to be more meaningful. It right now is daycare. And also as a parent of a child that goes to summer school, it's really not well put together. And I hate to say that because I know there's probably someone who works very hard. But on the parent end, I literally had a bus show up at my house and I did not know what time they were going to be there because I didn't get the bus card until after the first day. I also didn't get anything to let me know what time school started or who my child's teacher was. When I called the school, it was very hard to reach someone who was actually in charge of what was going on. And so I had an unfortunate incident that happened with my son, but in addition to that happening, it was just exacerbated by when that did happen, who do you reach out to? You don't know. So I think some of the policies that we have in place during the normal school year, that as parents we've come to rely on, home notes every day, you know, the name of the principal, the assistant principal, the ESE specialist, if we could extend all of those type of things to summer school as well, because it was very upsetting to put my child in a bus and not know where they were going to end up and who they were going to end up with. So just something to look into, some consistency and information in the summer school area. And then my last thing is putting on my teacher hat. If there could be a little bit more training for actual teachers, and I'm not sure that parents are aware of what the classroom teacher receives. Because as a parent, I go through an IEP meeting for about 2 hours, and then you get the big document. I'm not sure that you are aware as parents that as a teacher, I don't get that document. I mean, it's available in the system, but I get a one-pager, just one page for your child. And so, and it says like the first, you know, the easy IEP at a glance sheet. That's what we get. And, you know, it says like flexible time for assignments. What's that? Flexible time. So I think that there also needs to be better communication between the ESD department and just general teachers as to defining the terms that are on those pages. You know, what do you mean by, what is the expectation by of the terminology that's on those documents, and then somehow, without maybe overwhelming us, providing a more comprehensive look at the child. I teach high school, and I have about 185 kids, and maybe 15 or 20 of them have IEPs. And many of those IEPs have the same exact language. I can tell you, it goes from a kid who is autistic that's auditing my class to a high-achieving kid that just needs extra time, but it says the same thing, flexible time for assessment. So I think there needs to be maybe better descriptions or somehow give us more information. I think because I'm an ESE parent, I'm a little bit more knowledgeable, but it's unfair to have that expectation for every educator and expect them to know what that means and be able to provide the best education for your child. So as a system, if we could do better on providing instructors with a more comprehensive view of what that child needs, and then if we're going to have standard terminology, what that terminology actually means, because we don't get those things. And then since it's, what is that term? The VHAG, with training on ESE, because I think I've been teaching 18 years, and I think I had a class at one point. But if we could maybe have something available that teachers, because all of us get students with some type of accommodation at some point, we all should have more training available. Okay, that's it.
So, I know that there is somebody who can speak to this. This summer, how many trainings did you guys offer for the Summer Institute? Like, it was huge.
Yes, we had over 20 sessions this summer for teachers as a part of our Summer Institute sessions. And that's not counting the first week, which was in conjunction with Seasons of Learning, which was a district-wide integrated week of training.
And your trainings were specific to how to work with our children with IEPs and 504s for any teacher that chose to come.
The trainings were,
Our spiritual timer.
The trainings were for any teachers, but there were targeted areas.
Targeted areas.
Yes.
To ESE issues.
To ESE areas.
ESE areas, okay.
Allie,
Yes, ma'am.
I just wanna say, I don't usually applaud Tallahassee, but Calibra must not have had to renew her certificate yet. But currently, every teacher, cause I just renewed my certificate 2 years ago. So when you have to renew your certificate every 5 years, you have to get a certification in ESE. If you take the online class, it is universal design, it is all of the terms, it is the IEP, it is everything. So I just want not the parents to panic that it's a cycle. So as each teacher, they should be having it before they get the kids, but every teacher eventually in the state of Florida will have the ESE certification, and Tallahassee did a very good thing doing that.
So-
Gwen, could you just speak to the professional development that you offer year-round that is both online and face-to-face training, and how many courses were offered this past year?
Sure, this past year we had over 90 courses offered for teachers. As a matter of fact, the Office of Talent Development informed us that our department had the most professional learning opportunities than any other department within the district. To that end, we have over 24 online courses that are free, with a lot of rigor, and they satisfy the 20 in-service points that are required for every educator, regardless of whether or not you're instructional, administrative, or any other who are in need of having to renew their certificates. We offer those year-round as well. Our topics cover everything from behavior to different programs in reading to, well, literacy to math. We have a variety of topics that we offer. We're currently working on a catalog right now for this year to complete it, because we would have similar trainings this year as well. And those trainings do not include the trainings that are offered on site at the request of the school administrator.
Perfect, thank you. In the back?
Just to build off of that, I actually think that that last point about clarification of IEP accommodations is needed. I currently am fighting with a reading teacher who thinks that she is accommodating lessons broken into smaller segments because she's an intensive reading teacher, so she automatically teaches a slightly smaller curriculum than the rest of the mainstream kids. And yet when my child in that intensive reading class has lessons broken into smaller segments, that actually means for him compared to his class. But she doesn't understand that because she's comparing it to her department.
Perfect.
And so she is correct, and that's a flaw with EASY IEP. It's too generic, and then it leaves it open to broad interpretation. When you're talking about extra time, does this student, if this student needs, like I've been told I get 50% extra time. I don't know where this number came from. But if he gets 50% extra time, but this student needs 90% extra time, where is it? And they're left to figure it out.
So one of the things that we want to do, and this kind of segues really well into the survey that last year's team did, is they wanted to know, what do you want to know about? What do you want to learn about? And so, you know, my son's 16. He's a junior over at Atlantic Technical College. And a lot of you know our story, but a lot of you don't. And I shared this on Friday, and you ambushed me, brother. You ambushed me, because I thought I was going to talk to your 20 team there, rah, let's start the year. 500 people.
430.
It was crazy. It could have been 1,000. I was dying. But what I did, and I'll do it again real quick, is our story, is my story. And Zach was here today, and he had a headache, and he was a real pain. But the summer before kindergarten, I went into the school proactive. I said, you know, this 5-year-old has not grown out of the terrible twos yet, and we really need a strong kindergarten teacher. Suspended 9 times in kindergarten. First grade, suspended 10 times. Manifest destiny. Is this a manifestation? 15 people on that table. Me and Wendy Bellick on this side of the table. I didn't even know what an advocate was in 2006. Change placement, went to a cluster, special programs. That didn't work. Restraint and seclusion, over and over and over. Went to a center school, our least restrictive environment. Zach's an honor student at Atlantic Technical Magnet High School. Let's digest that for a second. He was at a center school. He was Baker acted at 6 years old by one of our principals following zero tolerance.
Yes.
I hadn't seen that woman in 10 years. When was North Area, Nordine? Sat down next to her, didn't even recognize her, and I thought I was going to throw up. PTSD is very real. But proactive, educated, stayed in the positive, flipped the script. All of those interventions that every single therapist gave us about our kid, I had to do for myself. You guys are all ambassadors now. You're here. You're here. You're the ambassador. You are the student leader, the parent leader. You're going to take it back to your school. At Atlantic Magnet High School, they have programs. You're going to get certifications. Zachary, he's the first child, as I've been told, with an IEP that is taking drafting. He's fully mainstreamed. He's fully included. We haven't had an episode, thank God, in about 4 years. It is possible. I do give hope. So if anybody else has a positive story or a good thing, we definitely want to hear those too. But we know there's those systemic things. So with the IEP, we're looking ahead. Next month we are doing inclusion. In November, the resource fair was so successful, we want to use just a minute of our time to hear about the new legislative platform that the district is going to ask for Tallahassee, empower you how to work through committee weeks, and then have the resource fair. We're working on that. That brings us to December. We would really love to have a good, strong 101 on IEPs. And that's not a presentation up here. That's 10 tables with seasoned people and new people working kind of collaboratively. So if you have any of those ideas, Robin gave out her phone number. I'm not going to do that, but I will give you my email, ese.chair@gmail.com. And so those are some of the things we're looking at. We have some more time. I'd like to know who'd like to speak next. Kelly.
Hi everybody. First of all, great meeting, Allie. It's been great being back. I heard some really systemic issues that are near and dear to my heart, having been in the system a little bit, to hear from other parents. What you mentioned about before is what I'm continuing to hear. I actually got a phone call, even though I'm not doing it anymore. I got a phone call on the way home from work today about a first grader struggling, an older first grader struggling in school, who's been struggling in school. So the issue of identifying students early enough, the systemic issue of acknowledging dysgraphia. If we have students who are really failing to grasp how to use those fine motor skills, we just keep blowing it off. We can't blow it off. It has to be caught early. Early intervention is everything, and we know it, so we really need to start seeing that happening in Broward, because it will solve all of our problems. I feel like that big goal of getting that reading proficiency and the math proficiency up, we absolutely have to identify these children earlier. So I think we need to take a good hard look at that data of when our students are being identified. I know we started that with RTI and digging in, but we absolutely have to. Parents, they've never heard the word dysgraphia. Teachers don't know what dysgraphia is. I never heard that word until I had my own children, and I was a kindergarten and first grade teacher. Now I'm teaching pre-K 4, and I can see my little pre-K babies, and I see now I'm like, bam, I know my three that I'm looking at going, okay, what are we gonna do? But I have that unique insight, not from my training through a district or through college. It's been my on-the-job training with my own children and seeing their deficiencies that's helped me raise awareness by visiting with occupational therapists, pediatricians, psychologists, the gamut. So our teachers are working so hard. The staff here is working so hard. But how are we going to help teachers understand that gut instinct you have, that something's not right? What are the tools? They need the tools. They really want to help, they want to do the right thing. They are doing so much, but they need the tools. What specifically can I do that's going to move this child and have that support? So I feel like that's what teachers are crying for, that support. They want to do it, they don't know how. They don't know how to identify, they don't know what dysgraphia is. They don't know what dyslexia really is. It's still being told by ESE specialists that it's, it's clear that there are deficits that we can address early, but I would be really curious for the district to take a look at when are we identifying students with But if we wait till second and third grade, we've already lost that. And I continue to hear that. And I just know that I have never heard a parent who's really getting any kind of service or even accommodations or any kind of real support for students with those challenges unless they're the parent who's, I love what you said. What did you say? Come to the district without your, what is it? Honey and something.
You don't come with the hammer.
Yeah, the hammer.
Yeah.
You know, everybody wants to work together, but we have to get that right. And I have to say, with the literacy plan, you guys heard me say it, but we say we're working on the big picture first of we have to meet, we have to just get tier 1 right for, getting this assessment together to look at where we are. But we also have to look at, if we're not including the 1 and 5 in building the what's missing, that shouldn't be, I feel like that's the missing link. Like, why aren't we getting that right first? Because if we make sure that those kids have what they need, if we're talking about UDL, then everybody else is going to be fine. But why aren't we ensuring that that's happening? And I'm disappointed to know that there's not a phonemic awareness component in place right now. If we know that that's the #1 indicator early on with 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, we can identify these issues early, fill the holes, and not have the issues. So I wanted that on record again. Have a great night.
You getting carpal tunnel back there? I want to invite anybody else up to come speak. Mr. Moyer.
This is unique, we've never done it like this. I kind of like it actually.
I'm Steve Moyer, and I wanted to dovetail a little bit about what David said about the cluster children in portables. And a business associate of mine was at the table, and his child also goes to the same school, and me and him had a discussion about this several weeks ago. As disturbing as it is to find out that these clusters are in a completely separate section of the school in portables and not included in the main building itself, just as disturbing I find is that they chose to do that on purpose to begin with. And nobody even gave consideration that, is this right? They just did it for whatever reason. It's easy, the services are there, we've already allocated all the other space in the main building, and this is all we have left. Whatever the reason is, it never crossed our mind that this isn't right. And it happened, and Robin will remember this, with field trips. The first time it happened to my son in middle school, his class was not invited to a end of the year field trip with the rest of his class. And the reason given was, that's the way we did it last year. And it happened 3 years later in high school. Again, his class was forgotten and left out of an invitation to Grad Bash, where all the kids go up to Universal Studios. It happened with Digital 5. And this was something that the district consciously did. They knew that they had forgotten and overlooked students in clusters when it came time to hand out laptops, and they chose to do it anyway and leave those kids out. They got their laptops, but 2 months later. It happened with First Move chess. Some schools let their ESE students have chess sets and included them, others did not. No one ever thought for a moment that this is wrong and that we've got to do this better. I find that just as disturbing as the fact that we're still doing it. And with all due respect to the numbers that Dr. Hickman gave us earlier, the measurement criteria the state uses to measure inclusion is outdated. It is way past time to bring it up to a modern standard. It's not inclusion. It's including things like cafeteria time and phys ed and that. It's not a true measurement of inclusion. Like Allie said, and so right, it's a mindset. It's not a program. Inclusion is a mindset. And the district doesn't seem to have the mindset if they're taking cluster classes and putting them in portables. And it almost sounds to me like now they're talking about having a chain link fence around these portables and locking the gate. It almost sounds like Hogan's Heroes without all the fun. So it literally is a mindset and needs to be a mindset, and the district needs to stop doing things out of habit and out of ease for them and out of we don't have the money, we don't have the staff, we don't have the room. That's not our problem. Our children are entitled to a free and appropriate education and to be included to the most extent possible. And it's not going to happen as long as this district continues to take this mindset that's corrected. Thank you.
Thank you. Come on. I thought you had something. Come on. All right, so you can do those. You want to do it from over there? That's fine. Well, we want to say welcome.
My name is Kimberly Burrell. No, not the gospel. I'm going to keep to this. I'm pretty new to the school system. My son is in an ESE class. I was pretty anxious to come out tonight. Didn't know what to really expect after hearing, all the wonderful things and programs and other parents' concerns and complaints. I did have one of concerns of mine, and I think everybody seems to be bringing up the whole segregation thing of the portables. I did notice that, and I was having some issues, but being so young and so new to the system, I have a little pre-care who just started, and just turned 3, so he's pretty young and new to it. And the whole IEP issue, my concern is, from my personal experience currently, is that I felt like my son got thrown. I really don't want to use thrown, but it seems as almost as if he got thrown into a classroom. With the ESE kids, of course, the ESE class, specialized class, but the teacher was unaware of his disability. She didn't get his IEP. She knew nothing about him. How are you supposed to know how to help him, teach him, train him, and you don't know his disability? I had to go down to the school, talk to them. The lady told me that this was Monday. She's just reviewing his IEP, so nobody knows anything about my child. Starting the 6th of September, right after his 3rd birthday. And the teacher seems to be more relying on me to explain to her his disability, why he does the things he do. Why does, did you get a draft of my son, his description? And she's like, no. And, it's really a concern because, I'm getting all these written up papers and complaints about him for the day, and it's pretty consistent every day. It's a little frustrating to me, but I understand his issue as a mom, but the teacher not knowing my child or doesn't even understand what she's dealing with or who she's up against as a little pre-care, is a pretty concern to me with him starting and they don't know what to do with him at this point. How could you not know? How are you teaching him? How are you handling the situation with him during the day at school? So I find myself down there every day just because I want to make sure that, this is being stayed on top of. And mind you, I just had a newborn. And so, I'm like, I'm new, but it's a really big concern of mine. So I'm hoping that I'm not the only one that's having that issue. But yeah, that needs to be addressed because the teachers do need to know what kind of child they're dealing with in their classroom.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I know it's really hard when it's your first time speaking. So one of the recommendations that I give any family that I work with is your parent input. A lot of times, it's the deer in the headlight. The ESE specialist go, okay, Mom, what do you think? Well, first of all, it's Mrs. Walford. Mrs. Walford, what do you think? So your parent input about your child is really, really important. One of the resources that we're going to do when we update the individual ESE website, not the district one, it's a list of about 12 questions, and we really want you guys to find the strengths in your child also. So we have our Title I chair here, Ms. Melina Marcos. She just wants to make a quick announcement because we had forgotten that, and I do believe we are going to get to adjourn on time when she's done.
Yay! I'll come to the microphone.
Normally I'm really loud.
It's been a long day. Hi, Melina. Can you see me? Okay. Or this way, maybe. Okay, so see if we can't laugh about ourselves, what can we laugh at, right? So a Title I chair, I'm very honored to have this position. I believe it's 189 schools. As someone else said, I'm about 2 weeks in. I'm getting my feet wet. I wanted to announce, you know, we've talked a lot about parents learning, parents being engaged, parents also being respected as the experts. I think that's very important as a takeaway, is that when they're going in for the IEPs, they're the expert about the child. Maybe not about what the diagnosis means or that it doesn't mean, or what the steps are or what they should be doing. But if you ever take the time to ask them about the child, they're the expert. They're telling you what they do when they wake up till what they do when they go to sleep, and even how they sleep most of the time. And those things can be indicators for assisting with doing a proper IEP. I completely agree about the IEP having being kind of cut and paste, as it were. So with that said, I really am taking away a lot of information today to bring back to Title I. I really find it important as that Title I liaison that wants to come here and bring that news back and do that looping that we're talking about the clusters. My heart dropped because one of my children is in a school with a huge ESE. And you know what? Because I'm just now Title I and I've been learning about SAC and SAF and jumping into all these different things, I don't know the answer to that. You know, so I'm going back tomorrow and find out the answers. And I'm going to find it out. I will do it my job as 189 schools to know what that statistic is. And I'm sure hopefully somebody can give it to me quicker than me doing the footwork. So I'm looking around, okay, at all my lead people. So hopefully somebody can get it. So really quickly, tomorrow night, if you have nothing better to do, as they say, if you don't want to go to a meeting because there's things you can learn. So there's a training tomorrow night at Arthur Ashe for the Title I training. These are free. Parents, teachers, if you want to come out, there's childcare. They offer the childcare, and they offer a light evening, food. So if you have those as barriers, that offsets the barriers. We have some amazing prizes that they also give away. And I have the authority to say that. One guy came out, Mr. Barrington, our pilot, came out and gave away a trip in a helicopter for a family member and their child. That's awesome. Like, I wish I would have won that. So anyway, tomorrow night at Arthur Ashe, if you don't know the address and you got one of those schedules, Arthur Ashe is actually on there. So it is from 7 to 8:30. If you want to eat, come about 6:30. So you have time to eat because the meeting starts directly at. So we have Mr. Twan Russell, who will be there. He's some really big Milwaukee football player. I'm not in sports, but what I did read about his bio is that over 1,000 children that he has come along beside that have had barriers of education, and he's come up with a foundation to help those children be included in all of the services and things that they needed to thrive. So I think that was what I took away from him. I can't wait to hear him. If you know who he is, like if you're a sports person, if you know who he is, come out and get his autograph. Here's some good information. Throughout the year, we're going to have Title I trainings that work on STEM, work on science, work on math. Sometimes we have a speaker like we're going to be able to have tomorrow, who will be able to tell you, hey, this is what it was like growing up around here, and now I'm somebody who's giving back to here. So it's really cool. Come out. If you have any more questions, Allie has all my info.
I'm just going to invite Dr. Hickman back up for some closing remarks, and then we really, from the bottom of my heart for coming out. It's been a long journey. If you had asked me 10 years ago when I was sitting at that Manifest Destiny meeting of, is this behavior kid being a brat or does he really have some stuff, I would have never thought I've been here.
and to work collaboratively and work through that process. And very honestly, not be angry anymore. That's a gift I give to myself. It's a gift I give to myself to work towards solution no matter what the challenge is. So just bring us home, Dr. Hickman.
I hope to bring us home.
I'm gonna clean up while you work.
Okay, so, I did share with you at the beginning that we have some work to do. But I could not leave, well, I wanted to hear the concerns. I think kind of the scenario kind of the system that Allie would like to see is giving that half an hour for parents to be able to voice their concerns or share some positives. I want you to know that we heard each one of those. I took them all to heart. But without being defensive, please don't think I'm being defensive. But I must be, because I'm responsible in this meeting as the person who is going to have to take the charge on addressing the issues. So I did hear about the dysgraphia. That's something we've been talking about for a while. Dyslexia is an issue, and it's a hot topic for many of you, but it's not a hot topic for all. We are really looking at that. We have a dyslexia task force set up. I know you know about the literacy guide. We had that. We're going to work towards that. It's a state issue. I'm going to leave that one alone for a moment. Today is the first day I heard about the segregation. When you hear segregation of students in ESE, this is what we're in this business for, is to provide a free, appropriate public education in the least restrictive environment for students to have access to the general education curriculum. That's what it is. So when I hear segregation, I get just as passionate as you. I didn't hear this issue until about 2 o'clock today in an email. So when it's presented as being a systemic issue, today is the first time that I heard about a systemic issue at an elementary school. And immediately we jumped on that. I'll share with you, not to be defensive, but let me give you just a few facts about the elementary school itself. That the elementary school has about 1,200 students. It has 250 students with IEPs. They have 16% of their population are students with disabilities. So 250 out of that 1,100, 1,200. The 3 classes that are out, I think they have 7 portables out there. 3 of them are ESE portables for clusters. 2 of them are clusters, and 1 of them is a resource. That's the information that's been given to me in the past 3 hours in preparation for this meeting to address something that's supposed to be systemic. Please rest assured that we will get to the bottom of it, address it. Now, remember what I shared with you, when you present us with a problem in such a large division, what we have to do in order to address the systemic issue is now we need to say, well, how many clusters do we have in a district? Where are they? How many spaces are available? How many are in portables? How many are in school? Oh, as another part of this school, elementary school, they have a cluster inside the building. So all the clusters are not outside. All of them are not outside, and all of the portables are not ESE. But we will work with their parent, and we'll work with the school if, in fact, segregation is an issue. But that's a tough thing to walk away with. I wouldn't be able to sleep if I hadn't addressed it. To say to you, to hear that in our schools is disappointing, and it's a good chance that someone has made an error. But it will be resolved when we walk away. I heard the other concerns. We took notes. I know that Ms. Clay took your information, and we'll address it. And I think what you want to do is for us to reply some way at the next meeting. Absolutely. What we did, or at least an update without being specific. So for the individual issues, we'll address them. For the systemic issues, you know they're going to take time. But that's where
if you need
I want
support,
to leave with that.
ese.chair@gmail.com. I'll sit in an IEP meeting with anybody that I can. I need to talk to you, we need to support it, but we can find some solution. We do a raffle, so unfortunately they're very young, so we're gonna go ahead, if you still have your card, and if you think that that's something that will work for you, we'd love to share that with you. So we are looking for 910-925. 910-925, all right. We have flashcards to the man in the back. If you have any burning desire, I will be here cleaning up. Please come talk to me. I do not want anyone to leave feeling not heard. Yes, Mr. Morgenstern.
I just have
one issue for everyone, just let you remind you. October 22nd, down at Nova, is the big disability expo. You're all invited. There'll be vendors down there, chairs for everyone, bring your kids. It's a fun day. There's wheelchair basketball. I don't think there'll be wheelchair tennis at this one. But there'll be a lot of things to do. The cards are already out. It's in conjunction with Broward 211. It's October 22nd on a Saturday. We hope to see you there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Do I have a motion